Good evening. So we're just going to do a quick review, or maybe not quick, but fairly quick. I want to start with the short answer questions. Some are just like small, just fill in one word. So it's kind of a mix between short answer and fill in the blank. So you got to know the four main councils through in class, which is Council of Nicaea, the Council of Constantinople, the Council of Ephesus, and the Council of Chalcedon. You don't need to know the dates for those, but know which heresy they were opposing. So one thing you're going to have to keep in mind is the difference between Nicaea and Constantinople, because both of those opposed Arianism. However, they were opposing different teachings within Arianism. So the Council of Nicaea was more focused on Christ, and the Council of Constantinople was focused on the Holy Spirit. So definitely keep those two in mind, or that distinction in mind. So those are the first four. Next, you got to know the meaning of homoousios, however you want to pronounce it. I don't know. It just means same nature, or one in being, consubstantial, all that stuff. Next, you got to know who Saint Athanasius is. There's one question about him. Next question, the two instances in the Old Testament that suggest that the Trinity was at least prefigured or hinted at. So you've got the use of plural pronouns in Genesis. That's one of them. And Abraham's three visitors is the other one. Both of those are actually in Genesis, but yeah, so know both of those. Next, or the last short answer question is going to be over the significance of the veil in the temple being torn. So you got to know, first of all, what was the function of the veil? Why was it in there? Well, it separated the holy of the holies from the people. And only the high priest was permitted to enter into that one time a year. And so it was separating that from the people, not because of any malintent or anything like that. It was considered to be that sacred. And what the Holy of Holies was it contained the Ark of the Covenant, which was basically God's presence on earth. And the veil being torn, what that symbolizes is that the separation of us and God was now God's presence was not confined to a single room or a single building, even. That's especially the case during Pentecost, or at Pentecost when we all received the Holy Spirit. So that period had ended. But also it's important to remember that it wasn't us forcing our way, or human beings. It was not human beings forcing our way into the Holy of Holies. But it was God tearing the veil, or ripping down the curtain, or however you want to refer to it. Okay. Matching. One second. Matching section. This is basically just knowing the different heresies. denied Christ the existence of a human nature. Thought I was on the wrong slide. And so it was, it said that Jesus had a human body, but not a human will or mind. Okay. Next, we've got Arianism. That one, hopefully, we'll remember. That denied Jesus' divinity. So that was simply claiming that Jesus is God's highest creature, not God himself. Also claimed that the Holy Spirit is a creature, or is a something, not a someone. So it said that the Holy Spirit was not a divine person. And really, like this, well, never mind. I don't need to get into that. Next, we got Docetism. So that's kind of a Gnostic offshoot. Held that Jesus was not truly human, but only appeared to be or resembled to be human. They also thought that material creation was corrupt because, well, it's Gnostic may do that. So it's like basically thought that Jesus was maybe a phantom or angel and only appeared to be human. Next, Gnosticism. So you're going to definitely know that we get that term from the Greek word for knowledge, or one of the Greek words for knowledge, which is gnosis, which comes from nous, which I think is mind or thinking. I think. Just remember philosophy professor used to say we're going to start noosing. Here's a good one. All right, yeah, the principal tenet of several related heresies consists in salvation being achieved through secret knowledge. So, secret knowledge, Gnosticism. Like, just when you see that, just think Gnosticism. But again, like that's a pretty general description of it. It can come in a lot of varied forms. Okay, next, got Manichaeism. So that is also a form of Gnosticism. It's a Gnostic spinoff. They did not think highly of material creation, basically thinking it was evil. And they posited a dichotomy between light and darkness. They claimed that through rituals and sharing of knowledge, Christians should regain the light, which had been stolen by Satan and hidden in the brains of men, and free to return it to its original source. So I'm pretty sure the stuff that I put in here for the matching, I probably just took it from the definitions in the back of the chapter. Pretty sure that's what I did. So I would study those as well. What's next? Marcionism. So Marcionism interesting group. They believed in a demiurge, calling this force the jealous and vengeful God of law, who revealed himself in the Old Testament. And it claimed that the God of Jesus Christ has no law and is is sent to bring about the demise of the demiurge. Okay. They're the ones that contrasted the God of the Old Testament. Actually, we'll put that a little differently. They made a division between saying that the Old Testament and the New Testament has different gods. The God of the Old Testament was jealous and cruel and vengeful. Yeah. Next, monophysitism. Okay, if you just break down that word, that would be a really easy one to get, because it means one nature. So monophysitists believe that Christ only had one nature, because physis or physis, however it's pronounced, it means nature, generally speaking, or at least it's translated as nature commonly. And mono, one, or alone, or yeah, something like that. Then monothelitism. That's one will. So they that was condemned by the Third Council of Constantinople, which we didn't really go through. I want to say Saint Maximus the Confessor was one of the main people who refuted that, but that guy was awesome. Okay, next, Montanism. So it's an example of modalism. They held that they were directly inspired by the Holy Spirit. They were very strict. If anyone committed a mortal sin, he or she could not be redeemed. And they believed that in a new heavenly kingdom that was imminent, in one of the first apocalyptic heresies, its followers lived an austere life, rejecting second marriages and flight from persecution. So they seem to be really fire and brimstone kind of people. And lastly, we got Nestorianism. So this heresy, well, it rightly claimed that Jesus was both human and divine, but Nestorius went wrong when he claimed that Jesus was neither fully human nor fully divine. Argued that Christ was a union, one human and the other divine. It was condemned by the Council of Ephesus. So Nestorius taught that Jesus was two people, or had two persons, one human, one divine. He also claimed, because of that Mary was only the mother of Jesus' human person, not his divine person. But the Council of Ephesus condemned that, saying that no, Jesus is one person with two natures. Therefore, Mary can rightly be called Theotokos, Mother of God. Alright, now for the short answer questions. Or not short answer questions, true and false questions. Some of these are just taken from, like a few of them are from the Jesus quiz, like God is Jesus, Jesus is God. Like, are those true or false? And then there are several of them, I would say, that are on like the basic teachings of like, do we say that God has three natures in one person? No, it's one nature, three persons, and three distinct, not separate persons. Meaning of polytheism, like I believe in multiple gods, more than one. Also, the mystery of the Trinity is the central mystery of Christianity, which makes perfect sense. Also know that when we're talking about nature, like the really basic meaning we have in mind is what something is or someone is. When we talk about person, it's who. Okay. Next is on the language of the Trinity, which is on page 58. So you gotta know the meanings of substance, person, and relation, which the way the book presents it anyway. So substance, which says is synonymous with essence and nature, designates being in its unity. Person, or hypostasis, is the real distinction among the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Relation designates the fact that their distinction lies in the relationship of each to the others. Okay. Now, in reference to that, especially the relation part, you need to know that it's the Father who generates, the Son who is begotten, and the Holy Spirit who proceeds. Okay, Jesus is the fullness of truth concerning the Father and Holy Spirit. Another way to put it is just Jesus is the fullness of revelation. But if you understand the older meaning of aletheia, that's not simply truth, but it basically means revelation. It's an event revealing something. Let's say that truth and revelation, at least in that sense, are synonymous. Let's see. Also, what the term Father emphasizes. So it's emphasizing not simply like a paternal relationship, but that he's the creator and origin of all things. Next, by Jesus referring to God as his Father, what is that stressing? So that's stressing his unique dignity as the eternally begotten Son of the Father. Next, how do we become God the Father's adoptive sons and daughters? It's through the sacrament of baptism. Next is on basically the unity of Jesus with the Father. So think of that scripture where Jesus is talking to Philip. Because Philip wants to know who the Father is, or show us the Father. It's like, I've been with you for all this time and you still don't know. Whoever has seen me has seen the Father. So in other words, Jesus shows us the Father's personal and immanent nature. And the last one is on the Holy Spirit. So the Holy Spirit's the third person of the Trinity and is seen as the highest gift that we can receive. But also, the Holy Spirit carries out the task of sanctifying the church and all humanity, and so brings the redemptive work of Jesus to its fullness. And that wraps it up. So hopefully we'll have school tomorrow, but I mean maybe we just may have really, really shortened classes because if we have an afternoon assembly and a 2-hour delay, it's going to be like 30-minute classes or maybe even 25, I don't know.